During last night's victory speech in Blue Hill, Platner blasted his November rival. Platner made several assertions about her career and voting record. News Center Maine's Phil Hirschkorn brings us the fact check.
It is deeply humbling to stand here as your Democratic nominee.
In his primary victory speech, Graham Platner pivoted quickly to attack his fall opponent, incumbent Republican Susan Collins.
Susan Collins said she would only serve 2 terms. She's now running for her 6th.
That's true. This is what Collins said in a debate during her first Senate campaign in 1996.
If I'm elected, I will only serve 2 terms, regardless of whether term limits law, a constitutional amendment passes or not. 12 years is long enough to be in public service, make a contribution, and then come home and let someone else take your place.
She has worked in politics longer than Joe Biden.
That's false. Biden first ran for office in Delaware in 1970, 5 years before Collins began working as a congressional staffer. Platner criticized Collins for her 2018 vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
She got elected promising to protect Roe versus Wade, only to turn around and put a justice of the Supreme Court who overturned it.
Kavanaugh did, along with 3 other justices Collins had confirmed. But she also voted for Democratic Supreme Court nominees who support abortion rights.
I never hear the Democrats giving me credit for having voted for Justice Sotomayor, for example, or Justice Kagan.
If you are an independent voice, why do you vote with Donald Trump 95% of the time?
That rating by Congressional Quarterly Vote Watch was only for 2025. The nonpartisan Georgetown Lugar Center has ranked Collins most bipartisan senator in 9 of their 11 indexes.
And Susan Collins has never met a war she didn't like. She's been supporting endless wars since I was a teenager.
Collins did support the Afghanistan and Iraq wars that Platner volunteered to fight in. But this year,
I voted against the president on a war powers resolution when he indicated that he was going to, in some ways, take over Venezuela and its oil and have boots on the ground there.
While Collins initially supported the Iran war, she's now voted several times to end it.
I would not support authorizing military hostilities beyond that 60-day point, or if ground troops are deployed.
One Platner charge was personal and financial.
Susan Collins has gotten 21 times wealthier just in the last 15 years.
That's based on Collins's mandatory financial disclosure forms, showing a net worth as high as $9.5 million. But the wealth is primarily from her husband, who she married in 2012, and his stock portfolio.
In all my time in the Senate, I have never bought, owned, or sold a single piece of stock. I've always just had mutual funds.
Collins has said her husband has an independent financial advisor who manages the portfolio without consultation, like a blind trust.
Though we have no investments as a couple, he has his investments, I have mine. We keep them totally separate.
Our Phil Hirschkorn reporting for us. In a speech last night, Platner also blamed Senator Collins for hospitals closing in Maine, in part for voting to advance President Trump's budget bill last year. Collins voted against final passage due to Medicaid cuts. To compensate for those cuts, Collins then sponsored legislation creating a $50 billion fund for rural hospitals, from which Maine received $190 million.